The plane was black and broken, burned by old fire and old battles. Ash floated in the air and settled on cracked stone. Far from Earth's main worlds, this place was forgotten by most of the galaxy. It was where wars ended and wrecks were left to rot. A shadow fell from the sky. The dragon hit the ground hard, shaking the plane. Dust and ash rose like smoke. Its wings were torn, burned through by energy fire. Dark blood leaked onto the stone. The dragon tried to move, but its strength was gone. Its breathing was slow and heavy. Each breath hurt. For a long time the dragon did not move. It waited. It waited for death. Across the galaxy, everyone knew the same story. Dragons were destroyers. Humans were weak. When the two met, only fire and death followed. No one believed they could ever stand together. History said so. Records said so. Council said so. The dragon believed it too. James walked carefully across the plain. He was a scout, sent ahead of the human line to watch for danger. His armor was scratched, his boots covered in ash. He carried a rifle at his side, but it was lowered. His helmet visor scanned the land, warning him of heat, radiation, and movement. Then it warned him of something else. A massive life form. Injured. Still alive. James stopped. His heart beat faster. Dragons were not myths to him. He had seen the damage they could do from orbit. Cities burned. Ships torn apart. Thousands dead in minutes. He should turn back. He should call for support. That was the rule. Instead he walked closer. The dragon opened one eye. It was large, glowing faintly, filled with pain and anger. It tried to lift its head but failed. Its claws scraped weakly against stone. James stopped a safe distance away. He raised his hand slowly, showing he carried no weapon. The rifle stayed on his back. He knew the dragon could kill him easily if it had strength left. "Easy," James said, his voice quiet. The dragon did not understand the words, but it heard the tone. The dragon waited for the shot. For the blade. For the end. None came. James looked at the dragon's wounds. Burn marks from plasma fire. Shrapnel buried deep in scale. One wing twisted at a wrong angle. No creature should still be alive after this. James reached for his pack. The dragon growled. "Oh, wait. A warning." James froze. Then slowly he pulled out a small metal flask. He twisted the top and let a little water spill onto the ground. Clear. Clean. He pushed the flask forward with his foot. The dragon stared. Water was life. Water was rare on burned plains like this. It was not poison. Not fire. Not a weapon. It was wrong. This was not how this was supposed to go. The dragon's mind raced through old memories. Humans screaming. Cities falling. Fire answering fire. Humans always attacked. Humans always feared. Humans always killed first. The dragon expected death. Instead, the human offered water. Minutes passed. The wind carried ash between them. James did not move. His arms ached, but he stayed still. Finally, the dragon lowered its head and drank. The water was cool. Clean. It burned less than fire, but more than nothing. Life flowed again, small but real. The dragon did not attack. James let out a breath he did not know he was holding. He took a step closer. Then another. Slowly, carefully, always watching the dragon's eyes. He knelt and opened another container, pouring water near the dragon's mouth. The dragon drank again. Pain did not vanish, but it eased. The world sharpened. The dragon saw the human clearly now. Small. Fragile. No scales. No claws. Yet he stood there, unarmed. What? The dragon searched for trick, for hidden threat. It found none. James looked at the dragon, really looked at it. Not as a weapon. Not as a monster. As a living thing, hurt and alone. "You're far from home," he said softly. The dragon did not understand the words, but it understood the meaning. The tone was not hate. Not fear. Something shifted. James checked his scanner again. No hostile ships nearby. No movement. Just them. He activated a beacon, low power, sending a simple message back to his people. Injured life form. No hostile action. Need time. He did not mention dragon. The dragon watched him do this and did nothing. James sat down on the stone, keeping distance but staying close. The sun dipped low, turning the ash-red sky darker. Cold crept in. The dragon curled slightly, protecting its broken wing. It could kill the human now, even weak. One bite. One breath of fire. But it did not. It remembered the water. In the distance, faint engines hummed as human patrols moved far away. None came closer. James had chosen to stand alone. The dragon felt something it had not felt in many years. Confusion. James stayed until the stars appeared. He shared more water. He used a small med kit to seal bleeding where he could reach, careful not to touch too much. The dragon allowed it. Trust was fragile, thin as glass, but it existed. When night fully fell, James finally stood. He backed away slowly. "I'll come back," he said. The dragon watched him go, his small light fading across the plain. Alone again, the dragon rested its head on stone. Pain remained. Fear remained. But something new stayed with it. The galaxy believed dragons and humans could not coexist. On a burned plain beyond Earth's colonies, that belief cracked. Not with fire. Not with force. But with water. Morning came slowly over the burned plain. The sky was pale and weak, covered in thin clouds of ash. The land was quiet but not peaceful. Broken stone and old scars told stories of past violence. The dragon was awake. Ashran lay where it had fallen, its great body still and heavy. Pain spread through its wing and chest, but it was less than before. The water the human had given still lingered in its body. It had helped. That truth could not be denied. Ashran lifted its head and looked across the plain. James returned just as he said he would. He was not alone. Two humans walked behind him. One was a woman, her dark hair tied back, her face calm but focused. The other was a man, taller, carrying heavy packs on his back. They moved slowly, carefully, showing no signs of attack. Ashran felt its muscles tense. This was how it usually ended. Groups came. Weapons followed. Ashran remembered ancient skies filled with fire. It remembered cities screaming beneath its wings. It remembered humans begging, then striking when dragons turned away. The wars had been long, cruel, endless. Trust had died early in those days. Ashran waited for betrayal. James stopped first. He raised his hands again and spoke softly. The words were calm, slow. "This is Emily," he said, pointing to the woman. "And Michael." Ashran did not know the names, but it understood the care in the voice. Emily stepped forward, keeping distance. She placed a crate on the ground and pushed it closer with her boot. Inside were water packs, tools, and sealed food units. Nothing that could explode. Nothing sharp. Michael stayed back, watching the dragon closely. His hands shook slightly, but he did not reach for a weapon. Emily knelt. Ashran growled, low and warning. Emily stopped at once. She stayed still. "I won't come closer," she said, her voice steady. "We just want to help." Ashran did not understand the words. But it understood fear being controlled. It understood choice. James opened a water pack and poured it slowly into a shallow metal bowl. He placed it near Ashran's head and stepped away. Ashran drank. Above the planet, hidden behind drifting debris, alien ships watched. Their sensors were sharp. Their minds were cold. They saw humans walk into death. They saw no attack. No shield walls. No heavy weapons. They saw mercy where logic said there should be fear. "This is a trap," one observer said. "No," another replied. "They are unguarded." Records were updated in silence. On the ground, Michael opened another crate. He pulled out small repair tools and medical spray designed for humans, not dragons. Still he offered them. Ashran laughed inside its mind. Humans were foolish. Their tools were weak. Yet they tried. Emily pointed to Ashran's wing and then to the tools. She moved slowly, asking without words. Permission. Ashran hesitated. This was the moment betrayal always came. It waited for pain. Instead, Emily sprayed cooling foam around the burn marks. The foam hissed softly. It eased the heat. Michael followed, sealing deeper cuts with care. James watched Ashran's eyes, ready to move back if needed. They worked together. Quiet. Focused. No attack came. Ashran's breathing slowed. Memory after memory rose in Ashran's mind. Dragons standing proud. Humans firing without warning. Dragons burning cities in return. Hate growing, feeding itself. Generations raised on fear. Ashran had flown on this raid expecting death. It had failed. Fallen. Broken. Yet here it was. Alive. Because humans brought water instead of fire. Time passed. The sun climbed higher. The plane warmed. James sat nearby, keeping watch. Emily recorded readings from a scanner, surprised at the dragon's strength even now. Michael wiped ash from his hands, exhaustion clear on his face. They did not speak much. They did not celebrate. Ashran watched them closely. Humans were fragile. Their skin tore easily. Their bones broke. Yet they came anyway. They chose mercy knowing it might kill them. That was not weakness. That was something else. A distant sound echoed across the sky. A ship passed far overhead, never coming closer. Ashran saw James tense but stay calm. Alien eyes watched everything. Ashran felt exposed. Vulnerable. But still it did not strike. Emily finished her work and stepped back. She bowed her head slightly, a gesture of respect. James noticed and followed her lead. Michael did the same, though awkwardly. Ashran understood that. Respect. The day faded again. Supplies were set nearby. Water was left within reach. The humans prepared to leave. James stood before Ashran one last time. "We'll return," he said. "You're not alone." Ashran met his eyes. For the first time in centuries, it did not see an enemy there. As the humans walked away, Ashran rested its head against the stone. Pain remained. Fear remained. But betrayal did not come. From orbit, alien observers recorded the moment carefully. The data did not match any known pattern. Humans should have died. Instead they chose to care. Ashran closed its eyes. Ancient hate did not vanish. But it cracked. And through that crack, something unfamiliar began to grow. The days passed slowly on the burned plain. Ashran healed in silence. The pain in the wing faded little by little. The burns cooled. Strength returned, not fast but steady. Each morning humans came and went, always careful, always calm. James was there most often. David and John joined him later, bringing more supplies and setting a small camp at a safe distance. They did not build walls. They did not place heavy weapons. They trusted space, distance, and choice. Ashran watched them. The dragon could have left. Its wings were not whole, but flight was possible with effort. Still Ashran stayed. The humans had given water, care, and time. They did not ask for loyalty. They did not demand peace. They simply stood nearby. That mattered. One evening, as the sky darkened and cold wind moved ash across the ground, Ashran sensed something wrong. The air felt sharp. The ground vibrations changed. Hunters were coming. They were not dragons. They were not human. They were predators from the outer dark, thin and fast, with hard shells and many limbs. They followed weakness. They followed blood. They had smelled Ashran's wounds. James noticed first. His scanner chirped softly. He looked up and saw movement far out on the plain. "David," he said quietly. "John." David lifted his head. John tightened his grip on a simple shock tool. None of them smiled. None of them ran. They did not have much. A few portable shields. Cutting tools. Signal flares. Things meant for work, not war. The predators rushed in low and fast, clicking and hissing. 6 of them spread out, trying to circle the camp. Ashran watched. This was the moment truth always showed itself. Humans would run. Humans would hide. Humans would leave the wounded behind. James stepped forward. David moved to his side. John followed. They formed a loose line between the camp and the dragon. Ashran felt something twist deep inside. The predators struck. One leapt at James, blades flashing. James rolled aside, slamming his shock tool into its shell. The creature screamed and fell back. Another rushed David. David raised a shield, barely holding, his claws scraped across it. John pulled him back, using a cutting torch to drive the predator away. They fought with fear in their eyes. But they fought anyway. Ashran roared. The sound shook the plain. It rolled across the stone and into the night sky. The predators froze for a heartbeat. They had not expected this. Ashran pushed up, pain burning through the damaged wing. The dragon stood tall, blood hot, fire rising in its chest. It did not move because of death. It moved because of respect. Ashran stepped forward, placing its massive body between the humans and the predators. Flames burst from its mouth, not wide, not wild, but controlled. 2 predators burned and fell, shells cracking. The rest scattered. James stared, stunned, then shouted warnings as one predator tried to flank the dragon. David threw a flare, blinding it. John struck from the side, simple tool biting deep. Together they drove the attackers back. The fight was short, violent, loud. Then it was over. The predators fled into the dark, leaving scorched ground behind. Silence returned. Ashran lowered its head, breathing hard. Pain flared again, but it stayed upright. James approached slowly. He stopped, hands open. "You didn't have to," he said. Ashran looked at him. In its eyes was no hunger, no rage, only calm. David laughed softly, breathless. "Guess we made a friend." John nodded, still shaking. "Or earned one." Above the planet, alien observers watched everything. They recorded humans standing between a dragon and death. They recorded a dragon defending humans. This was impossible. Data spread fast. Across space, recordings showed humans protecting an enemy. Not for gain. Not for control. Simply because it was right. The humans tended to their wounds. They tended to Ashran's as well, working together in quiet trust. No words were needed. As the night deepened, Ashran rested near the camp, wings folded, fire low. The humans sat nearby, small lights glowing. No one slept easily. But no one left. Far away the galaxy began to whisper. Something had changed on a burned plain beyond Earth's colonies. Not with power. Not with fear. But with choice. The chamber of the council was wide and cold, built from dark metal and old stone. Light floated above the floor, soft but sharp. Symbols of ancient law were carved into every wall. These laws had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. One law stood above all others. Dragons must be destroyed. Jessica stood at the center of the chamber. Her hands were steady but her heart was not. Beside her stood Lauren, calm on the surface, tense inside. Around them, seats rose in a wide circle. Aliens of many kinds watched in silence. Some whispered. Some stared with open hate. At the far end, bound by energy fields but standing tall, was the dragon. Ashran was alive. That alone was enough to shake the room. This council is in session, a deep voice echoed. Humans have violated galactic law. They have sheltered a dragon. They have refused execution. A murmur spread. Jessica stepped forward. We did not shelter a weapon, she said. Her voice was clear. We saved a life. The council did not like those words. A dragon is not a life, one council member replied. It is a threat. Lauren spoke next. It was wounded. It was dying. We chose mercy over fear. Laughter echoed from some seats. Sure. Mercy is weakness, another voice said. Your history proves this. Jessica lifted her head. Our history also proves survival. Images appeared in the air. Burned cities. Broken ships. Human worlds lost to war. Dragons and flame-filled skies. Yes, Jessica said. We have fought. We have bled. We have lost. And still we chose not to kill when we had the chance. The council turned their eyes toward Ashran. The dragon remembered ancient halls like this. It remembered standing before councils long ago, only to be attacked when words failed. It expected the same now. Ashran waited for pain. Instead nothing happened. Lauren raised her hand and new images appeared. A burned plain. A wounded dragon. A human offering water. Humans standing in front of predators. A dragon standing with them. Silence fell. These recordings were watched across space, Lauren said. They show humans protecting an enemy. And that enemy protecting humans. A council member leaned forward. Why did you not kill it when you had the chance? Jessica answered without pause. Because it did not attack us. Another voice followed. Why did you not fear it? Lauren replied, we did. Fear did not decide for us. The council shifted. Old laws pressed against new truth. Ashran stepped forward slightly. The energy field shimmered but allowed the movement. All eyes locked on the dragon. Ashran lowered its head. Not in submission. In respect. The chamber reacted at once. Some rose from their seats. Some reached for weapons that did not exist. Fear rippled like a wave. Ashran lifted its head again and spoke. Its voice was deep, slow and carried weight. Many in the council gasped. Dragons rarely spoke before councils. I expected death, Ashran said. I found water. The words were simple. They struck harder than fire. I remember the old wars, Ashran continued. I remember humans burning. I remember dragons dying. I came to this plane ready to end. Humans chose otherwise. A council elder spoke. Why did you not kill them when you healed? Ashran looked at Jessica. At Lauren. They stood between me and death, the dragon said. Without claws. Without fire. The chamber went silent again. Jessica took a slow breath. We are not asking the galaxy to forget the past, she said. We are asking it to see the present. Lauren added, old laws were written in fear. Fear keeps wars alive. The council argued among themselves. Voices rose. Laws were quoted. History shouted. But doubt had entered the room and doubt was dangerous to old power. At last, the highest council voice spoke again. This dragon lives because humans chose mercy, it said. This truth cannot be erased. Ashran stood unmoving. The energy field hummed softly. The voice continued slower now. The law demands execution. But the law was written before this moment. The chamber held its breath. For the first time, the voice said, this council will delay judgment. Shock spread like fire. No execution, the voice declared. Not today. Ashrin felt something it had not felt in centuries. Oh. Jessica closed her eyes. Lauren let out a quiet breath. The council had not broken the law. But it had bent. And where law bends, change begins. As the chamber lights dimmed, old symbols on the walls seemed less solid, less certain. The dragon was alive because of water and trust. And the galaxy no longer knew what to do with that truth. The council chamber emptied slowly. No cheers followed. No victory songs were played. Peace did not arrive with noise. It arrived quietly like water soaking into dry ground. Ashrin was released from the energy field. No chains followed. No guards rushed in. The council did not declare the dragon innocent. They did something far more rare. They chose to stop. Orders moved through silent channels. Fleets were told to stand down. Strike commands were paused, then erased. The execution record was closed without announcement. In the archives of the galaxy, a single line was changed. Status: observation only. Ashrin returned to the burned plane one last time. The land looked the same as before, but it felt different. The air was calmer. No ships circled overhead. No weapons tracked movement. James stood near the camp, looking up at the sky. The stars were clear tonight. He had removed his helmet. The wind touched his face, cool and gentle. Ashrin approached him. They did not speak at first. "You're leaving," James said quietly. Ashrin nodded. "I must." James understood. Dragons did not belong near borders thick with fear. Leaving was not retreat. It was choice. "You'll tell them," James said. It was not a question. "Yes," Ashrin replied. "I will tell them what I saw." Ashrin looked down at the human. So small. So easily broken. Yet still standing. "I will tell them humans did not strike when they could," Ashrin said. "I will tell them humans offered water." James smiled, tired but calm. "That's enough." Behind him, Emily, Michael, David, John, Jessica, and Lauren watched in silence. None stepped forward. This moment belonged to two beings who had met without fire. Ashrin spread its wings. They were still marked by scars. They always would be. The dragon did not hide them. Scars were proof. With a slow, powerful motion, Ashrin rose into the air. The ground shook once, then settled. Heat washed over the camp, but it did not burn. Ashrin climbed higher, turning once to look back. James raised a hand. Ashrin disappeared into the stars. Across the galaxy, data flowed. Quiet updates replaced old labels. Humans were no longer listed only as fragile or reckless. A new note was added, small and easy to miss. Humans demonstrate restraint under extreme threat. Another line followed. Humans choose compassion without demand for return. Some laughed at this. Some ignored it. But others remembered. On distant worlds, commanders hesitated where they once attacked. Scouts watched longer. Councils asked questions they had never asked before. What if strength was not only force? What if mercy was not weakness? James returned to his work. He did not give speeches. He did not seek credit. He walked burned plains and silent ruins, helping where he could. Sometimes he carried extra water. At night, he looked up at the sky and wondered where Ashrin flew. He wondered who else might be watching now, seeing humans not as prey or threat, but as something harder to understand. Something steady. Far away, Ashrin spoke before its own kind. It told them of fire that did not fall. Of claws that were not needed. Of a small human who stood without armor raised. Some dragons listened. Some did not. Change did not spread fast. But it spread. Years later, a new record would appear, buried deep in the archives, written in plain language. First contact shift event. 'Cause a human offered water instead of death. James never saw that record. He did not need to. He knew. On a burned plain beyond Earth's colonies, the galaxy had changed direction. Not with war. Not with command. But with a choice made by one person holding a simple flask. James watched the sky once more, calm and quiet. Peace did not roar. It endured.